Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Property Analysis. I'm Kenneth and this is my partner Brian.
Hello everyone. So today we'll be talking about this project called Dunearn House. It's a very exciting project in the Bukit Timah precinct because it's the first plot in our old Turf City estate. So today we'll be discussing a few important pointers for you guys to take note, especially if you are thinking about whether is this an area for me or is this first plot in the old Turf City estate something that I should enter or not, and what are the risks that we will be facing.
So the risks of buying the Dunearn House are mainly three. People will say new launches in this area won't make money. Is it true?
I think so.
Also, next one is resale freehold projects are cheaper. I do see that. And also the last one with small unit types don't make money.
So we will be discussing about these 3 pointers because I think many realtors will probably do a few videos on this, talking about these 3 pointers. But of course, today we will have a spin to this because I think there's a lot of potential in Dunearn itself, and we will actually share with you in the presentation later. The first thing, before we go to that, please scan for our QR codes if you have any heart-burning questions with regards to this project, and Kenneth and will be able to provide you with more insights and details to the project. Okay, first thing first, new launches in this area don't make money. We will share a little bit of insight why people have this perception. We go back time, right, to around 2019. This is actually the period where there are a lot of launches that launch at different prices. So one of them, right, is actually your 4th Avenue Residences, which is at Bukit Timah, the one that is closest to Dunearn House. Then, of course, we have this very popular project at Tampines called Treasure at Tampines. So back then, Treasure at Tampines was launched in March 2019 and 4th Avenue Residences is in January 2019. So they are just about 2 months apart. So the truth to be told, these 2 projects didn't launch very well. All of them launched about maybe 17%, 60%. So it's actually a very good study. But the key difference you can see here is their starting launch prices. So for Treasure at Tampines, right, they launched roughly around 1,300 plus PSF. And for 4th Avenue Residences, it launches around 2,400 PSF. So the gap here is extremely big. We're talking about 80%. So today, I am a 3-bedder buyer. Back then, if I have a limited budget, at 1.3 plus million, I can buy a 3-bedder. But to buy a 3-bedder at Bukit Timah, right, I must pay 2.4 million. Is that a very big difference? So the truth to be told, right, today, if we come back to our present time, things have changed. Because Tampines Pinery recently have launched. It's a very good project, integrated with shops and everything. Very nice. Tampines West. The launch price is 2,546. Not that it's actually saying that, oh wow, this project is overpriced, but this particular project is priced correctly and it is 92% sold. So what does it mean? It means that a lot of people are willing to pay slightly higher PSF for a prime project. So right now, for example, Dunearn House is going to launch on average 3,003. I think some of the people are saying that it might be lower or higher or whatever the case is. I use 3,003 because River Modern land price is 1,420 and ours is about 1,410. So we'll be around the same price. On average, let's say we launch at 3,003, our price gap is only 23%. So imagine 2019, the price gap between 4th Avenue and also Treasure at Tampines is 80%. Now today, 2026, our gap is only about 23%. What does it mean? It means that when the price gap has narrowed, it gives the consumer an opportunity to say that these few products are around the same price. I actually don't mind paying around a slightly higher premium for a better location. To be honest, let's say we compare Tampines and Bukit Timah. You think about it, which is a better location in terms of prestige, living, lifestyle and all this. So it's up to you to think about it. Last time, 80% is really very high. I have no choice. I will choose Tampines. But now I only have 23%. Can I choose a slightly better location?
So we'll give you another example. Over here, we're going to show you the same thing in 2019. There's another project called Park Esta right beside the Eunos MRT.
It's one of my favorite projects.
And also the 4th Avenue Residences. So you can see that in 2018 or 2019, the launch price of Park Esta was about 1,007 per square foot. At that time, people already find it super expensive.
Because back then, I had buyers buying U Habitat and also Park Elegance at 1,001, 1,002. And Park Elegance is freehold, about 1,120. So it was about $600 price gap.
And around the same time, you can see that the 4th Avenue Residences in Bukit Timah area was launched at around 2,004 per square foot. So around the same time, the price gap was 41%. And then we'll bring you to another example, which is
Current timing.
Vela Bay in District 16. 2 months ago, it was launched at an average price of 2,886 and it was sold 72% on launch day. So if I were to take Dunearn House, which we're going to launch at an average of let's say 3,003, the price gap today will be around only 13%.
Even smaller than what we see in Tampines there. So last time, you can see that 2019, if I were to pay 1.6 to 1.7 million, I can get a 3-bedroom at Park Esta, right, near Eunos MRT. But I have to pay 2.4 million at Bukit Timah. But right now, you look at it, if I'm going to buy a 3-bedroom at Villa Bay, it's about maybe 2.8 million. I can also get around 3 million or 3.2 million at Bukit Timah. The gap is very small. So what we are trying to say today over here, we are trying to say that, let's imagine all the prices that we are looking at 2019 is like a scatter plot. All the cheap ones are all scattered here together. They are hovering about 1,003 to about 1,007. Then suddenly you have one that shorts out, right, which is your 4th Avenue, which is at 2,004. So this is where the fallback plan will be, where there's a sweet spot for people to choose from. But in 2026, what happens is that the scatter plot is moved up already. So everybody is hovering around the range about 2,600 all the way to 3,000. And we are maybe around here, 3,003. What will happen? The buyers will have options. So the truth to be told that any Treasure at Tampines buyers, Park Esta buyer, most of them profited around 500 to 600k. Some was even up to 700k because they had a low entry price. So 4th Avenue, they did okay also. Most 3-bedders earn about 300 plus k. But because of the disparity in terms of the prices, entry price, right, there was a gap. But today, let's say all of us are around the same. Do you think that actually buying Dunearn House will make money or not? So I leave it to you guys to decide.
Next, what happened when price gap between Bukit Timah and OCR is narrow?
So Kenneth will be sharing with you one good example between Daintree as well as this project called Seaside Residences.
Daintree is a project in Upper Bukit Timah, and we compare another project in OCR, which is Seaside Residences. They are all launched around the same time, 2018, 2019, and the purchase price is about the same, about 1,006 per square foot. We look at today, the resale price for Seaside Residences is very good. We're looking at about 700,000 kind of profit. But if you take a project that the price gap is very narrow, actually Daintree in Upper Bukit Timah do pretty well as well, although it is slightly shy of the 600,000.
But what you can see here is that actually the gap is not very big. But when you really look at the prices between, let's say, Park Esta, or we look at Treasure Tampines versus 4th Avenue Residences, the gap is really very big because they really launched at the same time with a very big price gap difference. This is a very narrow price gap to tell you that the differences is a lot more smaller. So now next question, can I get a freehold resale cheaper than Dunearn House? What do you think?
I would say yes.
Definitely. The answer is yes. Before we go to the next step, do scan for our QR codes. If you have any questions, if you want more details about Dunearn House, please ask us and we will be able to share with you more. So when you look at this, of course, for me and Kenneth, we do a lot of research and we don't want to just anyhow pluck out data that doesn't make sense. So we are actually trying to find out, what are the projects around the Dunearn House area, which is at 6th Avenue, that is a lot more cheaper and there's also freehold status. So we found out that there are actually around 8 projects. Right? So what are the 8 projects? These are some of them. We actually spotted a few of them, and one of them I want to share is the Angsana. Actually, the one thing about these projects in common is that firstly, they are freehold, very good. And the second thing is that they are all boutique. Boutique means that they are very small size one. They range from the numbers about 18 all the way to maybe just 50 or 80 only. So they are really very small boutique projects. What does it mean when it comes to boutique? Boutique sizes, are decent and their prices are a lot more cheaper. So right now, with a range about 2,300 to even 2,004, you can get a decent 2-bedder at this entry price. But if let's say Dunearn House is going to launch at 3,003, our gap between the freehold small boutique development and our leasehold currently there is 380 units, the gap will be about 27%. That is something that we're going to share with you. Right now, I think Kenneth will share with you a very interesting observation between Villa Bay and some of the boutique developments that's around it.
So if you think of Villa Bay is in District 16, it was launched at 2,886 on launch day. But there's another area around there that has a lot of small boutique development, freehold. Make a guess. It is where?
I think might be Joo Chiat or Telok Kurau area.
So you can see that Telok Kurau area, around the same time, freehold boutique development are going for about 2,300 plus per square foot, compared to a leasehold big project going for 2008, it is very clear that people are willing to buy into a large leasehold project, even though it is priced higher than a small freehold project. And the price difference, you can see that is 21%.
It's also quite big. No difference with what we observed earlier on in Bukit Timah, right?
It is normal for units in the big leasehold project to cost more than the units in a small freehold project.
It is really common because I have done a lot of transactions around not only just this area, but also at Kovan last year. It is always like that. When it is a small boutique development, the PSF, even as a freehold, is significantly smaller. But then when it's a leasehold, a brand new launch that has numbers more than 500, the prices are usually higher. Now, this is also another statement I want to share also, but it's not normal for units in a big leasehold project to cost more than units in a big freehold project. There are a few examples that we'll be sharing. It's actually Seaside and Amber Park. The price gap, you can see that over here, the gap is about 30%. Means that if you want to buy these two on launch day, for example at 2019, right now Seaside is starting at about 1,900 per square foot. But then if you were to enter at Amber Park, it's approximately about 2,484. So the difference in price gap is very big. So right now you can see that it's a reverse. Just now it was like a small boutique, the difference is another way around. Right now for big freehold, it goes another way. This is how things are happening. This is also what we also observe in some of the projects that is happening recently. They are all going to TOP soon. For example, like your Continuum versus your Grand Diamond, and also versus your Tembusu Grand. Continuum, the price gap between these two other leasehold projects are also very big. They range around 24 to 25%. So it's very true that what you mentioned about big leasehold versus big freehold, the price gap is a lot more significantly bigger. So the truth to be told as well, today we are also sharing a project like Dunearn House. Dunearn House is actually a boutique each project because it's about 180 units only compared to our 380 units. But Dunearn House, you look at all their 3 bedrooms, they are all fully sold. But the minimum size that they have is 990, and their 3 bedroom plus study is close to 1,600 square feet. So today, if let's say back then, if I were to go and buy during launch day, my minimum budget to buy a 3 bedroom compact Dunearn House is 3 million base price. But if I want something bigger, right, the size, I must pay about 5 million. So in other words, to enter into freehold brand new at Bukit Timah is either 3 million or 5 million for a 3 bedroom. But today, we heard from developer that the 3 bedrooms are all harmonized. They come with a wide range of sizes. So this 947 square feet is the show flat unit size that Dunearn House has. Very nice layout. If you look at it, 3 proper bedrooms with cross ventilation at the toilets as well as the kitchen. Harmonized project. They are saying that this particular unit type may range around 3 million to 3.1 million. So at the PSL of 3,003, what happens is that your starting price for this project at 3 million versus if you want to buy Dunearn House 3 bedroom plus study at 5 million, the big gap is about 1 to 2 million. So I really something that we want to share with you. Not that you cannot buy a freehold in Bukit Timah, but besides the point that their price is cheaper, there are also the fact that the affordability is now a lot more bigger already. It's like you have to pay more for a boutique project.
So the third risk, I would say, a lot of people will say that the small unit types don't make money. Like we're talking about those 2 bedroom, those 600 square feet 2 bedroom.
I think there's some truth to that, but there are also some things that we have to debunk. Because last time we talked about big unit. The big is not because the livable space is big. I have an aunt that bought something at Balestier. It's very big, about 1,400 plus square feet. It has bay windows, planter box at the balcony, and the balcony stretches from the living hall to the first bedroom. So do you think that this is a good big, or actually it's a wasted big? So you think about it.
So we're going to share with you a project, a freehold project in Royal Green. This project was launched in 2019.
Yes, Royal Green is a project at Bukit Timah, also very close to Dunearn, just across 6th Avenue as well.
And the average profit that we see, it's about 66,000. Not very decent, I would say.
Because you see, the average holding for these buyers, they hold 4 to 5 years. To be very honest, most freehold projects, the time horizon to hold them is about 8 to 10 years. That's where you see the profit. Within a short period of time, actually, they can still profit this amount. I think is decent.
And we also have another project in the Bukit Timah area, 4th Avenue Residences. Their profit is also about less than 100,000
on average but there are some units that do make money about close to 200k, but on average it's maybe 99,000.
So smaller unit types really don't make money,
So why we have this statement? Because today we are touching on an area that is very unique. For example, different places have different requirements. So what happened is that for Bukit Timah, it has always been a trend that a lot of buyers enter into Bukit Timah, they want big units because they are used to it already. They are where the old rich is. So a lot of them actually live in landed. They also encourage their kids to buy condos nearby that is freehold, that is big. But like what I mentioned to you, back in those days, in the 1980s, when the government wanted to do rapid urbanization, they built very big floor plate units, which is really good. But after that, there were a lot of things that when URA sells the land to the developers, they give this thing called free GFA. So what happened is that they start to build planter boxes lah, big PESs lah, multiple balconies on bedrooms lah, very big aircon latches lah, and all these things, so that they can make use of all these free GFA right to charge onto the consumer. That's why the next slide is a very good summary which I did for one of my sharing with my team, because back in 1980s, government really want to promote a rapid urbanization because I want to build the nation. I don't mind giving you big floor plates to build. So for example, Shelford is one of them. TOP in 1980. You look at the size, the 3-bedroom. 1787. None of the 5 bedrooms in the current new launch market has this size. Of course, you'll be paying about 4.6 million. So to enter a 3-bedroom at the Shelford, which is at Wharton Estate, this is the base price. And you look at the balcony, the PS balcony, it stretches all the way to one of the bedroom and it's a landscape living room. And not only that, they have bay windows. So you ask me this size, what do you really have in the livable space? So after that, they also evolve, right? Then this one is the worst one. This part is where they did the most thing. They have planter boxes, multiple aircon latches. They also have a bay window. So for example, a 1464 square feet, right? The livable space, to be honest, is only about 1,100 only. Then they also evolve. You look at Shelford Suite. This one, I have a few units that I sold and also rent out. You look at the layout. They have balcony at each of the bedroom here. And they also have a long walkway and they have aircon latches. So the living space becomes so much narrow. So today what I'm trying to say is that small units in Bukit Timah indeed in the past don't seem to be very favorable because there's no supply. All the supply come in is all these big ones Do I have a choice now? I have no choice I must buy big, correct? But today, if I have a fresh new supply of harmonized project, because we are the first harmonized project, will we be making money or not? I leave it to you because I have a lot of different thoughts where people say that no people won't buy because it's too small for them. I don't think so, because if it's too small, a lot of projects that's harmonized in new areas that has very big floor plates, for example like River Valley, we saw River Green, how the size are more efficient, means smaller, and also even Promenade Peaks as well as River Modern, they are doing so well. So what about Bukit Timah? You can give some thoughts about it, because people will always tell you that Bukit Timah people want to buy big, but you want to buy big, is this kind of big, or you want to buy efficient? This is a very important factor that we are discussing today. So we'll be talking about big floor plate does make money, of course.
So now we are talking about big floor plate in Bukit Timah area. This project, Dunearn Residences. When we compare 2-bedroom, the 2-bedroom we are comparing is not the 600-700 square feet. It's like we are talking about those above 1,000 square feet. These type of large floor plate project in Bukit Timah, new one, actually do perform very well.
I think what Kenneth points here, right, these are not fabricated data, these are all real one. But you look at it, the analyzation value is also not super the best. But one thing I will highlight is because of that they have big floor plate and people do really desire that. But today, if let's say I am a HDB upgrader, I just sold my Sengkang HDB or Punggol HDB, made a decent profit. Today, I want to let my kid enter into the prestigious education belt of Bukit Timah. I want to buy a 2-bedroom. This is the price that I am looking at. And this price, to be honest, can buy 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom resale EC or anywhere else. But today, if let's say Dunearn House, we are harmonized. Our sizes will range around 600 plus to maybe 700. And our entry price, could range about from 1.9 to 2.2. Brand new and harmonized, no aircon latch counted. So I think this is something that we want to think about also. You need small units, big floor plate. But right now, it doesn't mean that small floor plate is not desirable because we are the first harmonized project.
So if I were to buy Dunearn House 2-bedroom, how do I exit in future? This is something that you need to understand more on the transformation of this turf city. So in the turf city, the transformation is going on with, I think, the next 20 to 30 years.
The turf city transformation, back then when 4th Avenue and even Royal Green was launched, this was the big talk. But I just feel that this particular thing was like, it's still a great idea, but it didn't happen. But today, this is really going to happen because we already sold our first plot, which is Dunearn House. Second plot also is already sold. and this is going to come to place lah.
So there will be about 15 to 20,000 private and also public housing that will be built in this Turf City transformation. So your exit plan is pretty much from the HDB upgraders to Dunearn House.
So what we are going to say here is that over here, this is where we are the first mover advantage. As the first mover advantage, we always see in new township planning like land toy and all this. Subsequently, all this land will be eventually sold, but likelihood the price will increase because land costs always increase. Oh, we are sharing this. Do you remember? So this day you heard the news that the parcel C for
River Valley Green
was already bidden.
more than 1,700,
right?
Yeah.
1,700. When we first started Zion Grand land cost was 1,202.
River Green was 1,385.
And so now the 5 plot of land, and last one is 1,700 plus there. I'm not trying to say that it will always follow this trend, but you know that when there's an area where there's transformation, where there's limited land or there are land for grabs, the prices of the land will always increase. When this happens, what do you want to do? You want to be the first mover. You want to be someone that pluck the flag first, then you sit on the profit. Because ultimately, everybody needs a home to stay. But what if your home makes more money than the rest for you? I think this is something that you can think about lah. Because this area is definitely going to have a lot of heritage value, a lot of transformation that's taking place.
So with that, we have come to the end of our analysis. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us via WhatsApp, scan the QR code, and we will see you in the next one.
This is actually the first part only because we still are waiting for the floor plans to come out, and that one we will dive deep because I think Fraser is doing a lot of good work on making the layout really efficient, and I will really go deep into the analysis part so that if you want to take a chance to buy this Dunearn House unit, you need to understand which floor plan really works for you. So stay tuned and we will see you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.